Hello everyone, welcome to the workshop. So in this video I will be taking and showing you how to dress your CCI Anvil Swage block combo. Now this is an item that I am selling here on my website over at blacksmithpdfs.com, and it's going to be a great versatile little tool for anybody who does demonstrations, as it's about a 37-pound anvil, and after it's dressed it comes out to roughly 33 pounds. So these little anvils, they are mild steel, and we will be hard surfacing the top of this anvil here, and they come shipped to you exactly as you're seeing this one right now. They are not a finished anvil, and we can take and ship them anywhere in the world for calculated shipping. And again, you can find these over at our website, blacksmithpdfs.com. There is a limited quantity available, so if you do get over there to the website and you find that they have been all sold out, you can sign up for our mailing list or waiting list, and we will put you on the waiting list. This isn't a guarantee that you will get an anvil, as I have limited quantities of these available at any one given time, usually about 10 at a time for right now, as they're fairly costly to have cut out. So get on that waiting list, and it's a first come first served basis. Again, you can find the links to my website down in the description down below, and it's that little downwards triangle that you see at the bottom of the screen. You can click on that and it will drop down the description, and you can find our website link there. So anyways, as you can see here, I've chose to take and remove the bulk of the horn material as it comes out square using a cutoff wheel on a 4.5-inch angle grinder. That just helps cut it to a point quicker, so it saves on grinding. You can dress this anvil however you like. If you like it to have, a little more horn to it, if you want that to just stay broad, maybe you don't want a horn on it at all, you can just leave that flat just the way it was, and that's perfectly fine. But after that, we are going to go ahead and grind some 45-degree chamfers on all the corners. So very similar to when you're forging, you take things from square to octagon to round. We're going to do that same exact thing. Now, as you can see, I've moved up to a much bigger grinder here. This is a 9-inch Bosch grinder that I have. And then also, I'll put the links, those are affiliate links, in the description down below to the tools that I'm using in this video. An affiliated link, just to let you know, it gives me a small commission if you go and you purchase something through the link at no additional cost to you, and it's a great way of supporting the channel. By no means feel obligated to do so. You can just go over there and find out more about the tools and equipment that I'm using and read up on it straight from the manufacturer. Again, not a sponsor of this video. Anyways, so after we get the top of the horn ground and somewhat rounded off, we are going to take and grind the bottom of the horn here. Also, something to note is that I am using a very coarse grinding wheel right now. Later on, I will switch to using a flat disc wheel on a much smaller angle grinder, and some on this big angle grinder. So I kind of used the amount of abrasives that I had on hand, and it worked pretty well. So there you go, you can see me flat disking after doing the coarse grinding. You want to get the bulk of the shaping done with the coarse grinder, and then come back and finesse it in with the lighter grit. So the grit that I'm working with right here is a 60 grit, and that's perfectly fine for an anvil finish. You don't need to take and have near finished anvils, or especially on the horns, because if you live in a wet state or climate like I do, chances are it's going to rust on you anyhow at some point. So there's no point in really grinding it to perfect polish. You just want to take and smooth it up quite a bit. Give it kind of a matte finish is all that's really needed. But again, if you buy one of these anvils, you can dress it however you like. So as we continue to grind away here, as you can see, there's quite a bit of work to be done on the horn. This is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. The face itself is fairly simple and easy to do. Later in this video, we are going to hard face this anvil with some stick electrodes, and then we'll grind that off back down to a smooth face. But that is totally not necessary with a mild steel anvil, as if you make it a point not to take and hit the face with your hammer, you should be just fine, and it'll be relatively good, and you won't have to worry about any sort of ding marks or bad marks on it in that way. So now we're going to go ahead and prep the face of the anvil here for a little bit of grinding, for a little bit of welding. One important note here is that you want to make sure you chamfer your edges back by about 1/8 of an inch or so before you start welding, so this way it gives a place for your hard surface rod, if you are hard surface welding, to take and run on the edge. So that way you can get hard surface rod all the way to the edges, and it's not just in the center of the face. That'll be important once you shape it later on and you grind in nice square clean corners. You'll need that. As you can see, this, if you're counting, you might want to roll back on the video a little bit and count how many rods I was using here. I use quite a few rods. It's definitely not too bad. I buy hard surfacing rods in 10-pound boxes, so it's not too bad to take and hard surface a small anvil like this. The face here is only about 2 inches across, and by the way, you can find all the specs about these anvils in the listing itself. And that waiting list that I talked about earlier, again, all you have to do is scroll down to the bottom of the listing if it says sold out, and it will have the waiting list at the bottom of that listing. It's just basically an email list. So now here comes the fun part. After you get everything welded up, if you so choose to hard face it, the big trick to this is that hard facing rod is an abrasive resistant rod. So as things go when you're grinding on it, it is going to take quite some time. Might do a small sample piece first on a scrap plate of steel and decide whether you want to do that to the whole entire anvil face or not. Roughly, this entire thing that I've done here took me about 45 minutes to an hour for the entire project in order for me to grind all this to shape. So it's definitely worth the hour worth of time. As you can see there, I just kind of sped up and got past all the other grinding. Of course, I went to a 60 grit belt or to a 60 grit wheel, and now I went ahead and transferred over to where we're just using a bit of sandpaper on a flat disc. Not a flap disc, but a flat disc. And this really helps to take and surface the anvil nice and clean and shiny. And this is some 320 grit sandpaper. I was going the extra mile here just because, I like shiny things. As an instructor used to tell me once, Roy, you've got old crow in you. You got a little old crow in you. Because apparently crows like shiny metallic objects. So after you get all that done, obviously we're going to clean up the bottom of the horn and all the rest of the fittings there. But it comes out looking pretty darn good. One last note before we end the video here. The swage portions themselves of the swage block will need some dressing as well. I didn't do that in this video. I was mainly focused on how to grind the horn and how to take and grind the surface top, but you'll want to make sure that you smooth off any sharp edges to your own liking, and be prepared for a video update in the future when I create a stand for this and do a tutorial around that to show you guys how you can take care of these swage blocks and put them in a stand. That makes this a very super handy tool. So without further ado, I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. As always, God bless you, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.